Here's 3 common mistakes I see people make when trying to get into property. Let's go. So for context in this video, my name is Ryan Eastley. I've been investing in property about 7 years. I've got a sourcing company and a property investment company, and I see a lot of people reach out to me looking to get into property, but there's common mistakes that I see I thought I'd address in this video just to give some context to kind of help you guys. So let's get into it. Number 1 is flips. So flips are obviously when you buy, renovate and sell on the back end. The thing with flips, and they're a great way of building capital, don't get me wrong, the problem with them is when people say they got a pot of cash, let's say 150k there, you got a property that you want to buy, you buy for 100k, you got a 50k refurb and you want to sell it for 200k, great, happy days. But the problem is flips are reliant on a buyer coming on the back end and actually buying the property for X amount. You need a bracket there because you're relying on someone to come in and actually offer the price that you want, which doesn't always happen. You get market fluctuations, which can affect things. And there's so many different variables that can affect it. So don't be too fixed on saying on a flip project, I want this exact figure. The best way to approach any flip project is to say, I'm going to buy it for 100k, for example, 50k renovation, for example, depending on your variables. And then you want to sell it for 200k, great, happy days. But have a realistic best and worst case scenario figure on the back end so that you know your minimum price you can get for it. I.e., if you want to get sell it for 200k, the minimum you would sell it for is 190, for example, to say if the seller came on the back end and you had COVID 2.0, for example, you can actually sell it for that amount. Or you got, and then obviously 200k is ideal. That's what you want for it. But in reality, the minimum price is the most important because that's your break even. You want to make sure that you're not wasting time doing a flip and actually, you know, renovating it, spending 9 to 12 months doing the whole project on the back end for no profit whatsoever. So have a minimum GDV, have a minimum resale figure on the back end, but have a bracket there. Don't be fixed with this has to sell for 200k, have a bracket there. So hope that made sense. So point number 2 closely relates to flips as well, but loosely. So people expect a fixed return with flips and it doesn't work that way. Yes, you have your margin. So if you apply rule number 1 where you have a profit margin, a minimum resale that still works for you, that's great. But the problem is people approach flips thinking, okay, I'm going to make 25% returns or 20% returns, whatever. Because of the way that you need a margin, the way it can fluctuate depending on the market, depending on getting the price you want, you need to be really careful with it. So the point I'm getting to is it's sometimes better to have security in your actual investments than anything. This is exactly why we work with people on fixed returns. So we provide fixed returns of about 8 to 10% per annum, and we have a lot of investors doing that right now for the exact reason of if instead of doing a flip of 20% returns that's higher risk, that may actually become about 12%, if the market changes, you may as well do a fixed loan on the back end with us. So not to say that's the best way to go about it, because if you've got high risk tolerance, then flips are definitely the best option for you. But just to factor those things in, where yes, flips can be absolutely amazing, but have a bracket there. And then if it's getting too close, it might be worth going for lower risk investments. But just something I've really talked to a lot of clients with, where they want to do flips to increase their capital, but they're not aware of how risky flips are, because you're still buying, renovating and selling, and you're reliant on a buyer to come in on the back end and buy it. It's like with a BR, you're looking to actually refinance, you can set your figure, give or take, depending on comparables. With a flip, you're reliant on a buyer coming on the back end and buying it for the price you want, which is a much high risk strategy, just to be aware of that. Number 3, and people are gonna hate this, is social media. And the reason people are gonna hate this is because people see a lot of social media about deals being sold. So a lot of sources, property sources, especially in the UK that I've found, they tend to just chuck deals on social media and have these crazy numbers on them. Guys, be really, really careful with this, because I've spent the past 7 years learning about property, investing myself, and I've been on several different courses. I see the way they operate. I've been with certain big companies, smaller companies, etc. And I have a lot of people come out saying, I've seen this deal being advertised here and there. And just be really careful with that, because a lot of these numbers are there to sell you on a deal. The whole point of going for a deal is for it to be aligned with your end goal. So you're in this position with X capital, whether you do flips or buy and hold, you have X capital, and that deal should be there to facilitate your end goal, to keep you on track with that. So just be really careful with kind of being sold crazy numbers at the start on these deals. And this is why one of the most common conversations I have with any investor who's been shopping around for a while, when I say shopping around on these mailing lists, is just to be really careful with assuming that's normal and that those numbers on the back end will be realistic. Not to say they won't be, but I have a lot of people come up to me saying, oh, I want to get this crazy unicorn all money out deal with a BR. I'm like, well, then we can't help you. You know, it's because on the back end, when you actually finish a renovation, have the refurb cost in and actually get the refinance in, it's almost never accurate. It can be, but extremely rarely. And if you rely on that for the next 5-10 years to build your portfolio with, for example, you're going to be disappointed. I can confidently say that. So not to say it's unrealistic, but I see it a lot, and I thought I'd just get that message out there just to kind of be transparent with you guys that don't kind of be sold too much on this. The whole point of building a portfolio is to say you've got this capital, what do I need to get to the end result? And don't have short-term quick fixes in mind with these sort of things. Just be really careful with that. So obviously these are 3 very, very random, but I think important points. And the reason I think they're important is a lot of people reach out to us through social media, for example, because we do a lot of social media marketing to promote what we do. And they want to build a portfolio or build the capital. So do flips or buy and hold, and that's great. But flips, I think, are a bit misunderstood by some people, thinking, okay, I got a bit of money in, it's almost a guaranteed ROI, return on investment at the back end. It really doesn't work like that. You have to have your margin to see what worst case scenario is. And this goes for whether you're new to property or whether you're experienced with property. It's really, really important to be realistic with your figures to make sure you're not disappointed on the back end. And this goes, I think over 1/3 of the people who've actually reached out to us who want to do flips end up actually doing the fixed loans with us for this exact reason. They want to make a return on their investment, i.e. their capital. They want to have a healthy return on there. But to be honest with you, they're not aware of the higher risk element of flips, because it can be high risk, high reward. It can be extremely rewarding, but it doesn't mean that that's a guaranteed return. And in fact, you could almost do a flip and break even or lose money. That's how high risk can be. So not to talk down on flips, because I do them myself, but just to be really careful with that, guys. Back to the point of the video. If you actually want to get into property, if you want to do flips, buy and hold, or do a fixed loan with us, reach out. I'm going to put a link in the description to the video to book on a call with us. Basically, if you've got capital there of at least around about 30k and you want to get into property or make money from it somehow, book on a call with us. There's no pressure on the call, just to kind of understand your position and how we can help you. We're based in South Wales, so I've got the sourcing company. So for anyone new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. And also, if this is the first time you've seen one of our videos on this, a bit of context on myself. Yes, I've talked about how many years we've been investing in property, whatever. But what I'd really say, a real focal point for us is how many people we can work with per year. So for context, last year, we helped over 150 people with the exact same methods I've mentioned in this video to basically help them. They got capital there, they wanted to maximize it through property, and we help them. So we have about 150 people per year. So we've been really operating and scaling what we do aggressively. So like I said, if you want to reach out to us, book on a call. But yeah, we've got about 60 projects on the go right now as well, whether they're renovation, BRs, flips, or turnkeys. So yeah, we're very active ourselves. Basically helps people build a portfolio or do flips. And I've got my own portfolio company, which obviously I help people with fixed loans on. So 2 different sides to what we do. And if you want to get involved with us, click the link, book on a call with us, and we'll be happy to have a chat with you.